Hey, Lions Nation! We're back with another exclusive video bringing you all the latest news about our beloved Detroit Lions. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss anything about the team. Now, let's get into the news. The silence was the worst part, a chilling dead air that settled over Hollis Hall like a shroud woven from 1,000 broken dreams and shattered divisional promises. It wasn't the announcement, not the cold corporate press release that dropped like a lead weight into the already volatile waters of the NFC North, but the absolute, visceral quiet that followed, a vacuum where rage should have been. A primal scream swallowed whole by the unforgiving machine of modern professional football. Because for the Chicago faithful, for the hardened souls who still remember the ghost of '85 and cling to the memory of defense as an existential force, this wasn't just a transaction, a business decision masked by cap space and future considerations. This was an act of betrayal so profound, so utterly venomous. It stained the very fabric of the rivalry, an institutional hemorrhage of loyalty that could not be stitched, could not be forgotten, and could certainly not be forgiven. A scar etched deep into the collective psyche of a fan base already worn thin by decades of false dawns and perpetual mediocrity, a scar now traced by the triumphant yellow and blue claws of the Detroit Lions. The very franchise that had only recently crawled from the abyss of their own history to claim a fleeting, fragile mantle of respectability, and yet, here they stood, emboldened, taking a cornerstone, a true bear, a figure whose jersey numbers were once deemed sacred text in the city's sporting gospel, ripping him from the lakefront and installing him, without shame or apology, directly across the line of scrimmage, cementing the perception that the Bears, for all their legacy and all their grit, were nothing more than a farm system for their suddenly ravenous division rival, a feeder club operating in plain sight, demonstrating with brutal clarity that in the cold, transactional reality of the modern National Football League, money talks, pride whispers, and the North remembers everything, especially the names of those who turn their back on the frozen, wine-whipped fields of Soldier Field for the perceived greener and far more cynical pastures of Ford Field, leaving behind a wake of psychological devastation that far outweighs any on-field performance, metrics, or statistical projections. It's the knowledge, the sickening, gut-punch realization that the Lions didn't just sign a player. They bought a piece of Chicago's soul. A tactical acquisition designed not merely to bolster a roster, but to inflict maximum, sustained psychological warfare. A masterstroke of cruelty delivered with the smarmy confidence of a team that has finally learned how to win and, more dangerously, how to hurt. The full, crushing weight of this seismic shift in the divisional power structure settling in like a deep, irreversible winter, freezing the hope that had only just begun to thaw in the Windy City. A hope now tainted, soiled, and utterly extinguished by the sight of that familiar, respected number, wearing the colors of the enemy, a true dagger plunged deep into the beating, bruised heart of the monsters of the Midway. A move that guarantees every future matchup between these two franchises will be less a game of sport and more a vicious blood feud waged over the spiritual ownership of the NFC North. A conflict now defined by the specter of the traitor who crossed the boundary and the chilling, undeniable truth that the Lions are no longer merely knocking on the door. They are inside the house, and they've started taking the heirlooms, brick by painful brick, year by agonizing year, ensuring that the next 10 seasons of this rivalry will be nothing short of a sustained, unforgiving hellscape of recrimination and bitter regret. A Cold War fought under the blinding, unforgiving glare of the Sunday night lights. Before we move on, take a second to drop a like and subscribe. That way, you'll stay up to date with every exclusive Lions update, and you'll even have a chance to win an official Detroit Lions jersey. Let's keep going. The reverberations of the signing extend far beyond the immediate shockwave, twisting the narrative of both franchises into something far darker, far more compelling than the sanitized, league-approved storylines of parity and competition. For the Lions, this acquisition, this brazen theft of a prized asset, transforms them from a feel-good story of hard-hat redemption into a genuine monster, a dominant force with the financial ruthlessness and strategic ambition of a seasoned dynasty, sending a clear, unambiguous message to the entire league. The era of Detroit being the league's punching bag is over, and they will now feast upon the weak, starting with their closest and most traditional rival, demonstrating that the new regime under their gruff, emotionally charged leadership has perfected the art of weaponizing emotion and market value. turning the Bears' instability into their own gold-plated foundation. A move that will be taught in front offices for generations as the blueprint for an aggressive, division-killing free agency strategy. A move that simultaneously elevates the Lions' ceiling and absolutely guts the Bears' locker room. Not just through the loss of talent, which is significant enough, but through the insidious erosion of trust and camaraderie. Imagine the conversations, the whispered doubts in the weight room, the sudden, paralyzing fear that every contract is temporary, every handshake suspect, every loyalty negotiable, poisoning the very culture that a head coach spends years trying to build. A subtle, psychological dismantling that no single draft pick or trade can ever truly repair. Because what the Lions truly bought was not just a player's elite skill set, but the invaluable, granular knowledge of the Bears' entire operational infrastructure, their play call cadences, their defensive audibles, the specific tells of their young quarterback, the exact weaknesses of the coaching staff, the subtle, intangible fault lines within the team chemistry, a living, breathing intelligence report delivered directly into the hands of the enemy. A mole on the payroll who can dismantle their former teams. Strategy from the inside out, making those biannual matchups a terrifying, asymmetrical battle where the Lions know every play before the snap, turning every third down into a predetermined execution. This is the true, hidden cost of the defection. The espionage component that never makes the headlines but dictates the outcome of seasons. Injecting a level of paranoia and suspicion into the Chicago organization that will inevitably lead to finger-pointing, missed assignments, and the eventual, necessary purging of personnel. A self-inflicted wound disguised as an outside attack, while the Lions, meanwhile, benefit from a sudden, terrifying familiarity with their foe, transforming every practice rep of the defected player into a tactical advantage. A new layer of divisional dominance built not on merit alone, but on the ruthless exploitation of a rival's vulnerability, validating the darkest suspicions of every cynic who believes that professional sports is not about heart or tradition, but about the cold, hard currency of competitive advantage, regardless of the ethical cost or the trail of shattered fan sentiment left in its wake. Ensuring that the next chapter of the NFC North saga will be written in the acid burn of revenge and the relentless, unforgiving pursuit of absolute, divisional supremacy. A grim and brutal reminder that in this league, the only thing thicker than blood is the ink on a guaranteed contract. And the only true loyalty is to the logo on the front of the helmet. Even when that logo changes from a bear to a lion, and the world door at least. The frozen expanse of the Midwest watches in stunned, horrified silence. We bring you the latest Lions news every single day. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And of course, drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's news. Your voice makes a difference for Lions Nation. See you in the next video.